trying to keep your piece on center and shaping it without touching it really helps develop the skill of working with this molten liquid. One exercise that, if you want to really get your senses high tuned, is take a gather, marve it out really as long as you can get it marved out, or a couple gathers, say, and just sit at the bench. Once you've heated it up, sit at the bench, let it fall off center so you know where it is, and then start turning it with your eyes closed and see if you can feel when it's up. That makes sense? What you do is you develop a really delicate touch in your fingers. You go turn that radio on. So in your second gather, if you don't, ideally you want to come to the bench and you want to block it so it's all nice and centered and kind of round and not really long. Because when it gets really long, remember, when you go to start blowing on it, the bubble's just going to stay up here in the top. You want to have your shape kind of rounded so that when you blow, it'll be round. Once it's round, you can shape it differently. You can stretch it long, you can make it squatty, you can make it whatever shape you want to end up with. So once you get your piece gathered, you want to have a really deep heat so that the inside of that massive glass will be soft. Also, until you understand the mechanics of how to get this stuff to work, you'd be better off covering the whole thing in color. Because you can't see how the bubble's growing when it's all has a really dim color on it. You need to be able to see wall thickness. So once you get it good hot on the inside, you want to block it so you cool off the surface. What this is going to do is it's going to give you a little bit of rigidity so the thing's not flopping all over the place. Get your bubble going in there. And at this point, we want to concentrate the bubble only being, say, halfway down your gather. The reason for that is because we want to just work on this part up here. We don't want to do anything about this until later. We're going to save that. So first thing we want to do is we want to thin out this part right here. So before you put your jack line in there, you're going to go ahead and heat up the neck. So with this part hot, I'm just going to hold it at an angle slightly down, and I'm letting it bend right here. Each bend is stretching it a little bit longer. Now, I do not want to hold it straight down, coming right out of the furnace. The reason for that is we lose complete control. What we're trying to do is working on controlling right there. And once it gets a little bit longer, I give it a little pop. Just to keep it up. Here again, just keeping on center with gravity, letting the gravity do all the stretching for us. Now once we're done with this upper part, shaping it, we're going to go ahead and put a jack line. Here again, the main objective is just to elongate the piece. You can also give it a swing. Centrifugal force will help stretch it longer. As you're swinging, you want to try and keep your rod rotating. If you just swing it back and forth, the cold air that's hitting it is only hitting it on two sides. You want to keep it rotating so it's even cooling. You are cooling while you're doing this too. So one thing is important to recognize is wall thickness. And one way you can tell wall thickness is by seeing the reflection of the inside bubble and knowing where the outside layer is. So you can kind of see where it's kind of thin right in here, it's a little bit thick right here, and very thick down here. Keep this from blowing out down here. You can use the air, cool it off, or if it's really hot, you can use the wet newspaper. The reason I say really hot is because if this is cold and you put wet newspaper on it, it's going to cause it to crack. We don't want any cracks. So once you get that cooled off, you can go ahead and pump some more air in there, making it other thing to remember is that this part right here will always heat up faster than all the rest of it. Just because it's getting, in the hole, it's getting heat radiated in all directions. This side here is just getting it one side. This side. But right down here is getting it from everything. So when you come out, you don't want to just blow on it really hard because immediately this is going to blow out because it's so much softer. So, if you're not sure about your wall thickness, or you want to make sure your piece ends up being a success, I encourage you to put a patch on it. The patch you put on using the diamond shears, you'll stick it right in the middle. Take back your jacks, squish it flat so it's concave inward. So at this point, you want to heat up the neck. Because right now it's the coldest part. And if I just break it off and stick it in there, there's a good chance it's going to crack just because it's so cold. You want to have your neckline cold, hot, and you take your cold jack, and we're just going to stress it right there. Once we get that done, make sure the sides are straight, make sure the bottom is flat. Here again, when you put this on, you just touch it, just so they stick. Don't worry about pushing it in right away. You want to be able to have this turn when you're grabbing it so you can tell if it's on center or not. Then you adjust, make sure it's on center, then you can push it in. A little bit of water on the north, a little bit of water on the south. First thing you want to do is bump the unevenness off on the lip so it's nice and flat. Remember, each time you heat that up, it shrinks a little bit. But if you want to keep your length, just kind of point it down a little bit. to get in the habit of only pushing when this is turning. Makes sense? Because if you're pushing this and you're not turning it, you're causing the whole thing to go off center. That's not what you want. You want more revolutions and an even pressure. So when you're opening that, you want to keep the blades of your jacks about 1 inch apart and either look straight up or straight down. You don't want to have your jack blades be all the way across unless you're trying to make it roll. So at some point, you're going to want to make a mug. So you can have your glass of milk with a handle on it. Give me a handle?
I mean, that is,
Yes.
I mean, that is,
Okay. Pretty cool. Just kind of knock that out. Every now and then you want to check this straightness here, because you want that to be straight. So you take and put your jacks down here on the bottom. And you don't want to squeeze in, you don't want to push off. You just want to get it so that it's not doing that. So it's nice and flat. So typically when you put a handle on, you want to start at the top and go to the bottom. Now remember, keep in mind that the far end of that handle is going to be the hottest part. So we don't really want the whole thing to, when I stretch it out, I don't want the whole thing to get really skinny on the top. So you can cool it off, just give it a little shot of air, or you can spin it on the top. Diamond shears and your pincers. Alright. So we're going to start this up at the top. Immediately you want to flip it over because you don't want it to come down and hit your piece. Once you have it laid in there, if you want to stretch it a little bit bigger, use the back of your pinceres and just kind of rub it like this. it'll create a nice